Hey guys, so I just wanted to make a quick note real quick. Oh my god, isn't my dog cute? Hello Lily, you're so adorable. I love you so much. Um the top of my head is cut off in this video. The whole video is like that. I'm so sorry. It took me way too many takes to try and make it. I'm not gonna redo it now, so you guys are just gonna have to deal with it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So sorry it's been, I think 3 days now that I haven't made a video. The day that I got my new ring light, my cat decided to chew up the cord to, let me just show you, completely in half. Completely in half. And I don't know where to buy just the cord, so I had to order a whole new ring light off Amazon. I don't like using Amazon, but it was the fastest, so. Either way, here we are. Welcome back. Hopefully you didn't miss me too much. Probably not, because I think I only have like 6 subscribers. But, oh well. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about why I dropped out of college and the reason that a lot of autistic people might feel like they might need to do the same thing. So the best way that I can start out this story is probably to give you guys a little bit of a back history of my experience with school, both in elementary, high school, and college. So I can remember back as far as kindergarten being so much smarter than all of the other kids. And that might sound a little bit like an egotistical thing to say, but I mean in the fact that I have, I don't like to talk about this very much because I always feel like I'm bragging, but I have a genius level brain, and I grew up very, very quickly when I was young. So I felt that I was more like an adult than I was a child, even back in preschool and kindergarten. Like, I remember looking at all of the other kids and being like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop hitting each other. What is going on? Why are we being so filthy? You know, I didn't understand the reasons that children played the way that they did and the reasons that children acted the way that they did. And I think that's one of the things that really led me to wanting to research psychology so much, which is something that a lot of autistic people end up being interested in, is learning about the human brain, learning about human characteristics and how people behave and interact with each other. And I think that that's really a way for us to teach ourselves how to interact with the rest of the neurotypical world. So anyway, all throughout kindergarten and elementary school, I was always much smarter than the other kids. I always tried to test out of classes. I can remember taking this one test to try and skip a grade at some point in 3rd grade, and I think I got 2 points less than what was required, and I would have been at a 5th grade level. And really the only reason I was restricted to doing just 5th grade and not higher is because my school didn't offer anything more than that. You know, 2 grades was the most that you were allowed to skip at any one point. But basically, I grew up with my entire life, my school experience was always way behind what I had already learned. And that meant that school was extremely boring to me, and I was constantly distracted and trying to get out of doing the busy work because I didn't see the point in doing any of it. If I already knew the information, then why did I need to practice it? But unfortunately, the school that I went to didn't allow us to skip busy work. We had to complete everything in order to take the actual exams. So I was forced to then play catch up at the end of each semester so that I could take all the tests at once. And this kind of continued up into high school as well. I even had one college class that was somewhat difficult because of that. One thing that resulted in most of my school experience being very boring was a lack of motivation to really complete school in general. I remember thinking that it was pointless for me to continue going even back as far as 7th grade because I already knew the information. I could live without having to go through the rest of the dealing with people who are much less intelligent than me. so I didn't really see the point in continuing. Unfortunately, I was forced to continue by my, well, I guess I should say fortunately, but I was forced to continue by my parents. I wasn't allowed to drop out at 16 or 18 or anything like that. Um, However, I, as soon as I had the opportunity in high school to take college classes, I wanted to. And I started college when I was in, oh God, it was my sophomore year, but it was the end of my sophomore year. So I always think it's the beginning of my junior year. Anyway, I started college classes at the end of my sophomore year of high school. Now I was taking high school classes full time, college classes full time, and working full time. And the thing that I realized very quickly in doing that schedule is that high school did not prepare me for the high school did not give me the skill of learning to manage my time wisely. And my college class, one of my intro classes, attempted to teach me that, but really that's something that someone with autism has to learn over a long period of time, not just over the course of a semester. And really the reason for this is because in high school everything is so rigid and it's already structured out for you. You don't have to think about what you're going to do during the day. You just know and you do it. And one of the things that is good about that is because I am autistic and I had a schedule laid out for me, it gave some type of rhythm to my day. I knew what I was doing, I was sure of myself, I was able to focus on more things than just my schedule and being in the waiting period. So one of the bad things about this, however, is that after each class, I did not work on homework. I would not do anything beyond what I could get done in each classroom. And that was because it was the time period in which I was given to work on my work. And if I couldn't get it done within that time period, then it wasn't my fault because that's the time I was already given. I already had everything structured out. I shouldn't have to think about it. I shouldn't have to work on homework during the time that I was supposed to be relaxing and recovering from the day. And that's something that I wasn't able to really put into words until quite recently when I learned why exactly that is. And it's really just because most people with autism are not going to see the point in doing something twice. They're either going to do it correctly the first time or they're not going to do it at all. So the consequence of this was that when I went into college and I started having to build my own schedule and I wasn't given time out in the classroom to work on work. Most of my classes were lecture style, which I learned from quite well, but I was never given time to actually do the homework in class like I had been in high school, which is really the only reason that I made it through high school in the first place. So I'm now in this college setting where I'm learning a lot and I know the information, but I'm not allowed to take the tests unless I do the busy work, and I'm not given any time in the classroom to actually do the busy work. So I'm not dedicating any time outside the classroom to doing it, because why would I do that? Because I have time in class that should be for doing homework. So what happened was I ended up being extremely overwhelmed by all of the work that I had to do at the end of the semester in order to catch up with the rest of the class. And I'm doing this in college and high school now, and I'm trying to work full time, which is a whole other video of exhausting. And I didn't feel like I was able to keep up with everything. My high school grades were suffering, my work schedule was suffering, I wasn't sleeping, I was barely eating. I wasn't able to do anything to relax myself in between because I had no free time. And unfortunately, that meant that when I got to the end of my high school career, I didn't want to continue college, even though I was only, I think, 2 classes away from getting my degree. And that's really unfortunate because even though I don't think that degrees nowadays are all that important for getting a job, I do think that I would have had an easier time in the career that I wanted to go in at the time by having a degree. Now, I don't want anyone to think in this that I regret not finishing college, because that's not exactly true. I don't regret not finishing it. I had most of my college paid for. The only thing I had to buy was the books. I finished barely and missed, or well, I finished high school barely, and I missed 2 classes of my degree. I am so sorry, but I'm just going to continue and try to ignore the furnace. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, even though I didn't finish college, I personally don't think that it would have done a lot for me in the long term to finish it, because the career that I wanted to go into was not one that I wanted to after leaving school, and the career that I am pursuing now is one that doesn't need a degree. So putting more time and effort and staying at my parents' house even longer would not have been worth it for me. I wouldn't have been able to build some of the skills that I did moving out at the time. I wouldn't have been able to make some of the money that I've made and actually become independent in some way or another. Did you have to get louder? Basically, I wouldn't be who I am today if I had continued going to college. And who I am today is pretty fucking awesome. So for me, it ended up being the right decision to drop out. And for a lot of people with autism, they do end up finding careers that don't necessarily need a degree because they have similar stressors in college. They either don't know how to manage their time properly or don't survive the social pressures that come with being in college and learning how to communicate properly with professors and other students and taking notes. You know, any one of these things can be extremely difficult for someone with autism. And I'm sure that there's others that I haven't named that I don't personally have issue with. But either way, I'm glad that I dropped out, and I will probably never go back unless it's solely for the purpose of learning topics that I find interesting without the pursuit of a degree. Because much like my grandfather has started doing years ago, just for fun, he has the disposable income to be able to go to college and only take classes like psychology, history, economics, any of these things that he finds interesting, rather than having to fill it with math and social studies courses and things like this. Not that autistic people don't find those topics entertaining, I just don't. But that's really all I wanted to talk about with you guys today. Again, if you have any suggestions or topics for future videos, please let me know in the comments.